I'm on a short time, but hi guys, I'm Bob. And when you brought up Pierce County, Washington, you must know that I find that amusing on account of being here in Pierce County, which is number 9 out of the top 10 counties in the United States for the total number of veterans on disability, not counting the fact that they're dropping like flies. We've had the highest suicide rate in the state and the highest per capita. However, an amusing thing is ever since the big suicide scandal before the pandemic, just this year, or just recently, Fort Lewis JBLM won an award for the reduction in the number of suicides, which is not so impressive because they had the highest rate. So anything less than the highest rate back in the day is a significant improvement. So they've improved. Still not perfect. Over the weekend, I had gone to a party with a bunch of veteran families and a few peripheral families. And one of the guys pointed at my truck and he said, "Bob, that's amazing. You're fantastic. This is like, you are really showing this success. You're just kicking it ass and taking names." And I said, "Well, kind of, I'm probably the most successful failure, because we have made more progress in the last 2 years than we have in the last 20. All of us fighting the same battle uphill against the wind and the snow and these idiots. But we still don't have a win. I just got an email about the Yorko case, and this blathering, blistering attorney in Virginia is saying this is now in the DOD FMR that it's going to be thus and such and whatever, and they can do the indemnification by contract, which again is the exact opposite of what the law actually says. And I'm with you in that the law itself is the law. And when you're looking at the kind of law that Title 10 and Title 38 are, it's called positive law, which means it is the law laid down by Congress. It's not the editorial review of the congressional discussions. The Federal Register is an editorial review of who done said what to whom and then how they voted. But the law itself, the statutes produced and signed by the president into law, that's the law.
That's right.
And the Supreme Court does not write the law. That's what Congress does. The Supreme Court said in Mansell versus Mansell that it is not there to second guess the wisdom of Congress. And it is the precise language of the Former Spouses Act that defines what can or cannot be done. And the court said that both the House and Senate discussed the idea of canceling federal preemption when they were building this Former Spouses Act. And they both rejected that idea because it was just plain stupid. I would love to offer the idea of building more on this. We've touched on it a little bit, and I want to answer that just in the briefest sense. When I started this, I was just publishing information. Getting asked to get involved in cases led me to helping write several pro se cases. We have several on the docket now, and I've been called and had the opportunity to speak to several people about this, and that just raised everything up. Don started in with the group and helped build to Washington, D.C., so that we could go ahead and shift gears. So the initial thing was to file it in the courts and demand the federal enforcement of due process. That's already in progress, and we want to keep doing that, and we want to get every veteran who's been through this to get a chance to take this material and move forward and file these lawsuits against judges to basically remind them that they are required to obey the supreme law of the land written by Congress pursuant to the Constitution, as we have just discussed. The second thing was saying that all along I've said we ought to talk to Congress about fixing this loophole or fixing the law to help them understand that what's going on is not actually legitimate family management of the court systems. This is predatory embezzlement of federal funds by way of the court. And if we could close this loophole that says retirees can be garnished, but regular veterans can't. The courts don't care. They don't read it. They don't respect it. They just say, we're going to go ahead and do this anyways.
Yes.
Because we have this power. And our point is to say, no, they don't. But if we can get Congress to change that one sentence so that it just says, it doesn't matter whether the veteran is a retiree or not, veteran benefits are exempt and you can't do anything about it. And where the Former Spouses Act is concerned, you can't do anything about it. You cannot indemnify, you cannot trick, you cannot contract. And next on the agenda is getting a conversation with the Secretary of the VA, because if Congress changes this law, it's over. We crush this problem. If the Supreme Court of the United States says, why, yes, state judges are required to obey the supreme law of the land, then it's over. We win straight up. Our families win. Our families get protected, and a bunch of lawyers have to go and find real work for the first time in their life. Some of them get to be disbarred and disrobed and whatnot, but that's okay. And then thirdly, if we can get Secretary Collins to step up and say, by the way, I've took a look at this, and guess what? According to Section 511, Congress very definitively said that the jurisdiction on veteran benefits has been assigned to the Secretary of the VA. And any decision approved by the Secretary is exempt from everybody. Any decision denied by the Secretary could be appealed to the Court of Appeals for Veteran Claims, or to the Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit, or to the Supreme Court. But state courts have no possibility of jurisdiction to touch veteran benefits at any time in any way, shape, or form. Shut up. And either way, we win, because then all of this problem gets transformed into our bulldozer over all of these corrupt lawyers and judges and officials and whatnots. And we can expose this predatory embezzlement for what it is and put that out of business. How does that sound?
Watch Grunt Speak live every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to join Pop for Supporter Sundays, go to redonkulas.com/donate and make a monthly pledge. A link is in the Meat Gazer box.